Chapter number 7 is The Big Friendly Giant, and in here you can see there are 6 types of stories given, and with that it is definition is also given. First one is fantasy. It's a story about different and exciting and daring experiences, usually involving magic and uh, supernatural elements. Supernatural elements mean magical things. Second is mystery. It's a story where problems are solved by following clues. Clues means hints. Third one is folk tale. Folk tale is what? It's a story which is passed on by groups of people describing their way of life and beliefs. Fourth is science fiction. It's a story with a scientific theme, usually about space and life on other planets. Then fable is a story with moral, and comedy is what? A humorous story uh, with a happy ending, means causing laughter. So let's read about a boy whose name was Denny, and he loved the stories that his father told him every day. So now this story is narrated by Denny. Denny himself is telling everything here. Okay. So he's saying first he's telling something about his father, and he's saying that my father was not what you should call an educated man. It means he was not well educated, and I doubt if he had read. A doubt meaning means not sure. I am not sure if he had read about 20 books in his life. In his life, but he was a extraordinary storyteller. Marvelous means extraordinary or amazing storyteller, and he used to make up a bedtime story. Bedtime story, the story which is told at during night and when it's time to sleep. And he used to tell story every day at bedtime, for me every single night. And the best stories were turned into serials and went on for many nights, one after the other. Serials means one which has many episodes. Okay, as we watch on TV serials, then it has many episodes. It is one story only which is divided into many parts. Now, out of those stories, one of them which you must have on for at least 50 nights. The one story which he told was it went on for 50 nights, and it was about a very big fellow called the Big Friendly Giant. You can see the picture here. This is the Big Friendly Giant, and in short, it was called BFG. Now, the explanation of this giant is given in this paragraph, that he was 3 times as tall as an ordinary man. Means if suppose an ordinary man has a height of 5 feet, then he was 3 times taller. It means he was 15 feet high, and his hands were as big as wheelbarrows. Wheelbarrows, you can see a small hand push cart. The size was compared to wheelbarrows, and he lived in a vast underground cavern. Cavern is what? It's a cave. It's given here also. It's a cave. And this cave was not very far from the filling station means petrol pump. And he only came out of into the open when it was dark. Usually giants come out when it is dark, when it is silent. That time only giants come out. Now inside that cave, he had a powder factory, and he made 100 different kinds of magic powder in that factory. Sometimes, as he told his stories, now again, Denny is saying that sometimes when the father told the stories, he would stride up and down. Up stride, I told you yesterday also, stride means when you walk with long steps. Okay, waving his arms and waggling his fingers. Waggling his fingers means the meaning is given here, moving something with short movements. When you move anything with short movements side to side. And he's saying that mostly where he used to sit on the border of his bed, bunk, a bed which is attached to a wall. Bunk means a narrow bed that is fixed to a wall. You cannot move it. And how he used to speak very softly. Now the big friendly giant makes his magic powders out of the dreams that children dream when they are asleep. So how you used to make this powder? He used to make this powder out of the dreams when children were sleeping and they were seeing the dreams. Now again there was a query. So Denny asked how it was possible. Now he is explaining that dreams, my love, are very mysterious things. Mysterious means anything which is confusing, anything which is difficult to understand. Because dreams, where are dreams? They are floating in the air, like clouds float in the air. Same way they are floating in the air, and they are searching for sleeping people. So again he asked, can you see them? So he said, no, nobody can see them. Only the big friendly giant catches them. Now the interesting part which I told you yesterday was it's about a dream. That what kind of dream? What is a dream? What the dream the children see? So now he is saying that a dream which you see is as it goes drifting. Drifting meaning is also given here when it is moving in a slow and steady manner through the night air, the air which is blowing. Okay. And then when it's blowing, it's making a tiny buzzing humming sound. It's making tiny buzzing humming sound. Daksh, please look on the screen. And the sound is so soft that it is impossible for an ordinary man to hear. We can't hear. Ordinary people cannot hear because it's a very low and steady, continuous sounds of that air. But BFG can hear it easily because his sense of hearing is completely perfect. It's superb. So now he's saying, I loved the far intent look on my father's face when he was telling a story. So when he was telling the story, he was just in that scenario. He was feeling that scenario, and whatever he was speaking, he was feeling that. So he loved that. Intent is again giving showing strong interest. There was some interest and attention in that story, and the face of his father was pale, means it was like light colored and still it was not moving, and it was far away, unconscious of everything around him. He was not aware of anything which he could see around him. Now moving to the our next page, the BFG he said can hear the thread. Now again thread is what? The sound of footstep of a ladybird's. Okay, thread is what? Sound when a ladybird walk, sound which is heard, that is called threads of a ladybird's footsteps as she walked across a leaf. Now see here, ladybird is what? It's an insect, I think, you know. So we have personified it. As we do it, we have what the writer is writing here, she, he. So when it is personified, we write he or she for animals or insects also. He can hear the whispering of ants as they scurry. Again, scurry meaning is given when they move quickly with small steps. When ants are moving on dry leaves, we hear this kind of sound around in the soil, taking to one another. He can hear the sudden shrill cry of pain a tree gives out when a wooden man cuts into it with an axe. So all these sounds only the BFG could hear. First sound is ladybird's footstep sound. Second, the movement of ants, whispering of ants. Third is he can hear the shrill sound. Shrill sound is what? Again, shrill sound meaning is loud and forceful noise. And even he could hear the cry of a pain. When a woodcutter is cutting the tree and he just cuts it with the help of an axe. So the sound which comes out while cutting, he could hear that sound also. And yes, darling, there is a whole world of sound around us that we cannot hear with our ears as simply not easily or not sensitive enough. Easily heard. Sensitive means which is not very easily to be heard. So this paragraph is describing about the different sounds which the BFG used to hear during night, but an ordinary man or ordinary people cannot hear. Now, Again, Danny asked, what happens when he catches the dreams? Now he have caught the dreams. Now what he is going to do? So father said, he imprisons. He imprisons means he locks them. He locks them. And then then in glass bottle and screws. Then he puts, first he locks all the dreams, then he puts in a glass bottle and then he screws. Screws means when you close a lid, turning it round and round. How do you close your bottle? You turn that lid round and round and you close it. Uh, he has thousands of these bottles in his cave. So every night he's coming out, he's just searching for people, those who are sleeping. Then he catches those dreams and he makes magic powder from that dream. And then he puts in the, first he puts all the dreams in the bottle, then he screws, then he takes those dreams in his cave, and then there he makes the magic powder. Does he catch the bad dream as well as one good ones? So again, Danny asked, because dreams every time it's not possible that we can only see good dreams. Sometimes we see bad dreams also. So he said, yes, he catches both. But what he uses for magic powder, he uses only good ones for magic powder. Then he asked, what does he do with the bad ones? So he explodes them. Explodes them means he bursts them out. Now, it is possible to tell you how much I love my father. It is impossible. So, it means he loved his father very much. When he was sitting close to me on my bunk, I would reach out and slide my hand into his, and then he would fold his long fingers around my fist, holding it tight. Now, this is the love which is shown in this paragraph. This is the expression of the love between Danny and his father. So how he used to love when he was sitting close to me on my bed. I would reach out and slide. Slide means to glide my hand into his. He would make the hand reach into his approach, and then he would fold his fingers. Like when you fold your fingers, you make a fist. Fist means mutti. Okay. And then he used to hold it tight. Now, what does the big BFG do with his powder after he has made them? I asked. In the dead of the night. In the dead of the night, when there is complete silence, my father said, he goes prowling. Prowling meaning is also given here, moving quietly and carefully around an area. Like when hunters go in the jungle for hunting, they go at that time when the night is dead, means there is complete silence, and they go very silently without making any noise through the village. They where he used to go, this BFG, he used to go in the villages and search for houses where children were sleeping because of his great height. Now you can see in the picture the height of this giant. This is the height, this is the window. Okay, so this is the side. It means this house must be 10 to 15 feet. So this he used to reach, and this is the suitcase in which he carries the magic powder. And so he used to search for those houses where children were sleeping. And then, because of his great height, he was able to reach the window. And then what he used to do when saw that this house is a child is sleeping in this house, he opens his suitcase. And suitcase, again, he asks why he opened his suitcase, because in his suitcase he carried a blowpipe. Blowpipe means a long tube for blowing powder. A blowpipe is a long as well as a lamppost. Lamppost we have seen on along the roadside, and the suitcase is with powders. So he opens the suitcase and he selects exactly the right powder. Means he select the correct powder and he puts it into the blowpipe and slides the blowpipe in through the window, and poof, he blows in the powder. Poof is the sound when he blows. No, this is the sound, and the powder floats around the room, and the children breathes it. So now see what we are just imagining, and he is telling that this happens when the big giant moves out. So this is the way he blows the powder. And then what? I asked. Again, then he said, when he's blowing the powder and it is all around in the room, floating in the room, and then Denny, the child begins to dream a marvelous and fantastic dream. When there is powder in that room, he starts dreaming a very amazing and fantastic, superb dream. And when the dream reaches its most marvelous and fantastic moment, the magic powder takes over. Takes over means it takes the control of something. Takes over means taking control of anything. And suddenly the dream is not a dream any longer, but a real happening. And then that dream turns into a real happening, anything which is happening really. And the child is now not in a sleeping mode. He is fully awake. Awake means he is not sleeping and is actually in the place of the dream and is taking part in the whole thing. Now, see what explanation he has given. So beautifully, he has explained that as soon the dream is turned into reality, the child is seen to be in that scenario. He comes, whatever you suppose, if he's seeing a beautiful garden, he reaches there and he's taking part, whatever is happening there, he's taking part in the whole thing. I mean, really taking part in real life. More about that tomorrow. So he said, really? Now he was getting interest. He wanted to know everything. So he said, really? This happens. So he said, okay, tomorrow I'll take. It's getting late. And then he said goodbye. Then he go to sleep. My father kissed me then he turned down the wick. Wick is what? Wick is the pipe piece of string at the center. Have you seen an oil lamp? Even when during our festivals we burn a lamp, okay? And in that, in the middle, there is a string of cotton. So wick is that of the little paraffin lamp. Paraffin lamp means a lamp that is used that uses paraffin, which is a kind of fuel. Paraffin is a kind of fuel to burn the lamp until the flame went off. Until the flame was off, it was put out. He seated himself in the front of the wood stove, a stove that uses wood as fuel, which now made a lovely red glow in the dark room. Lovely red glow when the light is just turning off, it becomes red in color. So this was all about, and it's like Denny the champion.